Hello, everyone. Episode 452 of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. How are you? I'm your host, Amber Romaniuk. Holy moly. How is it already December 10th? Like, the year is almost complete, but we still have time left. Keep that in mind, okay? And what a ride the last 6 weeks have been. I'm going to tell you what's been up because it's been a great learning opportunity and it's been so unexpected. So I will talk about that in today's episode, and it's part of what created today's episode. So today we're going to talk all about, and I want you to all grab your journal, have a pen and paper handy, because everything that I talk about today, there's going to be a takeaway for each one of you, or 10. And it doesn't matter what's going on for you in your life. I feel, especially as we get to the end of the year and go into 2024, and we don't have to wait until 2024, start now. But I want to talk about signs you're ready to uplevel, releasing control and allowing, because holy crap, have I ever had to do this the last 6 weeks. And what does your uplevel look like? What does it look like? What does it even mean? We're going to talk about all of that today. And it may be with binge and emotional eating. It might be with body image and overcoming the fight with the weight body battle. It may be really diving deep into investigating hormone imbalances, gut issues, working on your ego, wanting to take your power back from that loud voice that seems to be running the show, maybe finance. It may be taking your power back from, people pleasing. So we're going to talk about all of that today. So leave a comment below if you're watching on YouTube. How do you want to up level? What's your up level looking like as we go through this episode? And if you're listening instead on a podcast app, then feel free to DM me on Instagram or email me info@amberprove.ca if you want to share your takeaways, because I'm totally here to connect with you in that way. So before we dive into just a couple of key announcements for today's episode, you can find the show notes at amberprove.ca/podcast/452 or in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the Body Freedom newsletter, whether it's because of censorship stuff that's going on with podcasts here in Canada, or potentially, I'd hope it would never happen, but what if all of a sudden one day Instagram got deleted or this happened or that happened? The newsletter is the best place to be for us to be in touch. And there's all kinds of really great nurturing content there all the time for all of you. So the link is in the show notes so that you can come forth and make sure that you're connected. And so, I really want to talk about the end of the year. We have some time left, and it's something that is, I know, on a lot of people's minds. You don't want to gain more weight, right? Through the end of the year, going in 2024, you are so beyond wanting to do more diets. But if that's what you have to do, you'll do it because it's the comfort zone. You don't want to get any more bloated. You're tired of being tired. You're tired of fighting with your body and being overwhelmed and having so much on your plate, right? And I think that this is like, why are you still waiting to reach out? Why are you still waiting? Why would you wait another year, another week, another day, another month, another 6 months, right? You get one body. You get this opportunity to decide what kind of quality of life you want to feel and experience living in your body, your mood, your physical health, your symptoms, the way you behave with food, the way you show up in your world. But how many more weeks, months, years are you willing to keep tolerating suffering, fighting with your body, with food, being horribly bloated and in discomfort, letting the scale dictate your worth rather than you learning how to build it? How much longer are you willing to tolerate your ego and the people pleasing and the exhaustion? But at some point, we have to stop tolerating the suffering, tolerating the comfort zone of familiarity, even though it's full of suffering. Stop tolerating the fighting, stop tolerating the people pleasing, stop tolerating the binge eating and using food as a coping mechanism, right? Don't wait another year, another month. We can connect via email, info@amberprove.ca, and talk about support, or you can book your 30-minute body freedom consultation, right? I'm always talking about this because I know how the ego works. And the two biggest objections are money and time, yet you're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on binge foods and Christmas and the holidays. and other things, right? Because you see value in that. But sometimes when we don't feel good enough within ourselves and don't value ourselves or feel worthy, we will spend the money on other things or other people or other circumstances. And then when it comes down to us investing ourselves, we hold back because we go, well, I don't have time. I don't know. That's an investment, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, what is it costing you to stay in this place? I don't want you to have any more of that. So you can go to amberprue.ca, book your 30-minute body freedom consultation, secure your spot for support. We can still connect and get some help in here in December and then going into January 2024. And I'm going to be talking a lot about ditching quick fixes and instead of quick fixes, because this is about really getting you out of these quick fix habits, patterns, and almost being addicted to them. And when you truly take the baby steps, one step at a time, in a safe space to address the roots, which is what we do, you're going to have massive transformation and change occur. And you're going to finally be free of these habits, of the sabotage with food, of the bloating and the weight, emotional roller coaster body battle. Be free of the people pleasing and all these things that I know you truly deep down want. So you know how to reach out. I've mentioned it. I'm excited to connect with all of you that are ready for this or need a little tune-up or whatever it is. Just connect so that we can talk about what is going to be best for you. Okay. So let's dive into today's episode. Signs you're ready to up level. Okay. I feel like this whole entire year has been preparing me and Phil, my hubby, for an up level. Personally, like individually for both of us, like we're both constantly working on our mindsets, working through insecurities. I feel like this year I really up leveled into surrendering and deep vulnerability, especially with him. There's just certain things like with like finances and like money insecurities and like certain habits and like things like stories my ego was making up that were not true at all. And when I finally started to like surrender and be vulnerable and like share, like he's been so sweet and so nurturing and so loving, and our connection is just continues to get deeper because we are so vulnerable with each other. And this was the year that the universe pushed me to my knees to be vulnerable. But I think, you know, we can feel a lot of different things. So what I'm going to talk about first are signs you're ready for an up level. And there's obviously more than this, but it's happening. And I'm going to talk about what's happened for Phil and I over the last 6 weeks, because it's been a ride. It's been a ride. So yes, I'm going to talk to you about everything that's going on, and maybe some of you will be able to relate. And it's so interesting because as I get ready to share with you this experience that's unfolded for Phil and I, this divine unfolding that we were not expecting, but it's very positive, there's this part of my ego that's like, don't share it. Like maybe it'll trigger some people and upset them because they'll be like, oh, good for you, must be nice. And then I'm like, no, like Phil and I have worked really hard on our mindsets, our emotion, our energy, our being, who we are as human beings on this planet. And the universe always provides. And sometimes when you least expect it, and when you're putting like the least amount of energy into something, all of a sudden the universe will be like, okay, massive change. Here you go. Here's something you guys really want, but you haven't been focusing on. It's time. And so of course I'm going to share because I want to. This is my platform and this is going to inspire you guys. And if it triggers you, that's okay. There's ego stuff you can work on, right? It's okay. Whatever the reaction or response is totally fine. So food for thought. Okay. So first, let's talk a bit about signs you're maybe ready for an up level, but essentially up level, upgrade, like ascension, going to the next level, right? Like there's all kinds of different ways to describe this. I'm just making a note because of course we're going to add the journal prompts in for today. Okay. So upgrade, up level, next level, however you want to word it. Okay. So I think that when we're getting ready for an up level, we may not be exactly where we want to be, whether that's like with emotional mastery, your health, your weight, your hormone health, your relationship with food, your relationships, your job, your career, your business, your living circumstance, which is for us, like the last 3 years have been hard with our living circumstance. And I can't complain because I love our place. But when you're constantly dealing with people living beside you that literally could give a flying FUCK or don't care at all about their well-being or how much noise they're making, or that they're just constantly significantly disturbing the people around them and their sleep and their well-being, you like start to go like, okay, like I can no longer tolerate this environment, right? And you figure out a way, you don't know exactly, you're not exactly where you want to be, but you know that you can't tolerate any longer. That is a sign you're ready to up level, is that you are no longer willing to tolerate something that you have been for a short or long period of time. So here's some other examples of things over the years that I have stopped tolerating. So, and this may be for you. You're no longer willing to tolerate taking your binge eating, binge purge, or emotional eating behaviors fully into 2024 and have it continue as intensively as it is. You're like, I'm done. I've suffered so much. I don't want to be worried that I'm going to end up with diabetes or have a heart attack on the road or get sick or have it continue to drain your bank account. You're like, I'm done. I need to get support with this. I want support with this. I'm reaching out and I'm booking that consultation. No more. Maybe for you, your up level is like, I refuse to start 2024 going on another diet or quick fix. I am going to work on, and whatever means you need. But like, I remember specifically, I had a lovely client reach out to me at the end of December, 2022. And she's like, I'm struggling with fear of like not using the Weight Watchers app and not counting calories. And like, I don't trust my body. And I really want to learn how to trust my body and not feel like I have to be connected to all of these like apps and things outside of me. She's like, I feel so insecure. I don't trust myself. And she's like, I don't want to diet into 2023. And so she signed up for a year. We spent this beautiful year together. She created so much change and transformation on this journey. She learned how to be aware of her ego and start to manage it. She learned how to trust her body and let go of using apps and points and all these external tools that don't work, that were literally keeping her in fear and lack of trust with her body and with food, right? She healed her gut and regulated hormones. She built a lot of confidence and accumulated a beautiful box of tools. And we're going to do we're going to go on a Zoom call and just do like a written testimonial. But when we wrapped up the other day for the year, which flew by, she's like, having the one-on-one support, the loving accountability where you're holding safe space for me, but you're also helping me like point out and call out these parts of me that are keeping me stuck in this cycle. She's like, that was a game changer, because like she said, when I'm so deep in my head and it's my ego's yelling at me, it's hard to get out of it on my own. But now that I have tools, I've had support and guidance and accountability, I know how to manage it now, and her quality of life has significantly improved. She's up leveled out of these old thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, and paradigms, right? Maybe for you, you're so done with people pleasing. You know, it's exhausting you. You know, it's overwhelming your nervous system. You know that it's not serving you at all, and you are not willing to take that into 2024. And maybe that's what you want to really get support with your ego and your people pleasing. And you know, it stems from unworthiness and not feeling good enough. And you really want to shift that. Or maybe it's a bit of all of the above. You want support with gut health, with hormone health, with your relationship with food, body image. You want to kick the quick fixes. You want to kick the diets. You want to understand your weight loss blocks and why you're craving what you are. And you really are like, 2024 is the year I step into the woman or man I've always dreamed of being. It's like, you know, deep down, there's access to this part of you. However, you don't have the tools, guidance, and support to get there. This is where support is so powerful and so important. And I'm going to keep talking about support and encouraging you to get support, whether it's me or someone else, whoever you feel resonant with, because I want to advocate for you to finally get what you need. And now maybe not all of you are going to get support, but if you can, get out of your own way and invest in support. It is life-changing. It is a game changer. It's one of the best things you can do. One of the things that I learned this year is that having support and mentorship is a very important part of transformation, up-level change. Like it just is, no matter what, if it's with your health, if it's with your business, like it's imperative, and it's such a powerful thing. And I know for some of you, maybe you're saving for it. Amazing. Maybe it's, you know, a goal of yours, but you know, how can you make it happen? Because this is what I always think, like, okay, my ego mind can come up with all the reasons, stories, and excuses why that's an investment and it's a lot, but then I can go and spend $5,000 on Christmas. and I could have invested in, a significant program, right? It's like we get so conditioned by society that we should spend all this money on this stuff for other people and whatever. And hey, I have joy in putting up my Christmas tree and stuff, but this year I'm like, I am not spending a lot on Christmas. I want to save the money. And then this whole like circumstance unfolded. I'm like, oh, I'm also extra happy I didn't spend a lot of money on Christmas because there's this beautiful gift that the universe has, given to us that we get to step into this week. And yeah, it's just all aligning. But it's like, I would prefer to invest my money into things that are actually going to be in alignment and help me and or save, for something that is just really going to help expand rather than just going and spending it all on stuff that I'm going to give away to other people. Right. That's just a personal shift. And that coming from someone who like used to spend a lot of money on Christmas is a big shift, right? When we're getting ready to up level and grow, it's like our brain, our ego is like, no, like that's not going to work. Be afraid. Like, what if it doesn't work? What if you invest and spend the money and it doesn't work? What if you do this, make this change, make this leap and like it blows up in your face and you fail? Like, oh, this is what the ego does when we're literally on the verge of an up level. So this is the kind of like mind chatter that's going to come up. And this is actually the first question is when you think of up leveling, growing, healing, transforming, whatever area or areas of your life, what's the negative self-talk that comes up? What's the ego have to say? So I always write it down as we go because I don't want to forget. So when you think about up leveling, and the questions will also be in the show notes and below in the description. Let me know what comes up when you journal on these. Okay. So what comes up? Because of course there's fear, there's doubt. And I'll tell you, so this is essentially what's happened for Phil and I. So I started dating Phil 8 years ago almost. It's incredible. It's been amazing. Like I'm so blessed and he's amazing and we have the most amazing relationship. I'm so blessed. And you get to have the same, by the way. And I lived in a little apartment in a big city and like he literally pretty much saved me out of my apartment because there was some kind of shady people living downstairs that weren't supposed to be and some shady things happened and he's like, come in, stay with me for a month. And then we obviously that was like right away, right after he asked me to be his girlfriend. And then it was great for us though, because we saw we could live together really easily, that it was very easy. And then 2 months after that, he's like asking me to move in and to be here with him on a full-time basis. Right. And so he welcomed me into this beautiful space. We've been in this space he's been here for 10 years. I've been here 8 years for him. I moved my business here, run my business out of this beautiful office, out of our home. We've created this amazing, amazing life together, which I'm beyond grateful for. And we've worked really hard for it, mindset wise, emotionally wise, energetically wise, on all levels. Because we want the best quality of life and to feel the best that we can. And, so like I said, over the last 3 years, because we live in a townhouse and there's walls shared between us and our neighbors, our one side is amazing. However, the other side is a rental property. And so it's kind of like a revolving door. And then we had a circumstance happen in, end of October. And, Phil and I, this place is safe. It's a comfort zone. It's familiar. We know it. We want to move. We wanted to get a house, and have this separation be complete. But it's like the timing isn't right. We want to save a bit more, find the right place, all this stuff, right? It's like we want to be ready and we want everything to be perfect for us to move. But like the reality is the universe has a different plan than you may logically have in your mind. And so we start looking at houses. We go look at one. We're like, man, no. And then we find one that we're like, oh my gosh, this looks really nice. And we go there. And I'm like, oh, great. Like, when can we move in? This is the perfect place. And the guy's like, the realtor's like, oh, it's conditionally sold. And we're like, oh, crap. Right. So we're just like, okay, let it go, let it go. And then the irony is an hour later, the realtor calls and says, oh, like that conditional offer fell through. Do you guys want to put an offer on this house? We do. It gets conditionally accepted. And then the roller coaster of emotions just gets even bigger because if you've ever purchased a house or considering doing so, it is an emotional roller coaster because then you are like vulnerably providing all of your financials to the banks and lenders for financing, right? And mortgage approvals, and they freaking rip the stuff apart. Oh my gosh, what an emotional roller coaster. Anyways, so it turns out we get this house. even though it was an emotional roller coaster, we get this house. And then there's all this emotion of like, is the time right? Is this good? Is this going to be good? Like, can we do this? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yes, we can. And like I always talk about, when we're in an environment where we cannot regulate our nervous system, it's so much easier for your hormones to go to whack, to have more sensitive digestion, to have a shorter fuse, to be more reactive, to be more emotional, to give your power away more easily, to be triggered to binge. Like I can tell you, I'm like, it's such a good check-in for me, because through this whole circumstance, obviously I've not emotionally eaten. The universe is like, you guys are too comfy. Time to push you out of your comfort zone. You're both talking about how you want to up level. This is not the aligned space where you're going to do that. You need to be in the aligned space. And this space is no longer a frequency match for us based on all these things that are continuing to go on. We're so grateful for this space. I'm going to acknowledge so many of the beautiful things that I've experienced, that we've experienced in this space, but it's time to up level, and we need to have a house that holds us, that is a frequency match, an energetic match for us to up level and expand in all the ways that we desire to together in our businesses and beyond. And this space cannot give us that because of these circumstances. So we move in 2 days. If you're listening Sunday, we move in 2 days. I mean, we're moving here in December. So that's why I said the other day, I'm like, I haven't decorated for Christmas yet. My Christmas spirit's like a 1 out of 10, because I'm like, there's no Christmas in our house. House is on the market, right? Like, there's so much going on. We've packed up everything. Like, this is the last podcast episodes that I'm recording in this house. This podcast started in this house, 452 episodes of this podcast. This podcast was birthed in this space. I'm beyond grateful for that. And now it's time to up level and take things to the next level. And that's what's going to be happening. So, I mean, in a way, like, I try not to get angry with the circumstance. And I'm grateful, because if it wasn't for us being essentially catapulted by that 30 hours of noise into looking at houses, none of this would have happened. But it's all divinely unfolding, and everything is literally falling into place. Yes, it's been an emotional roller coaster, but the universe also initiates us and goes, you want this? Let's see how you do with it. Let's see how you respond or react. Can you make it through? Can you have deeper trust and faith that we totally have your back? And that's been my theme this year, deeper trust and faith. That's part of the up level. And this whole circumstance, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if? And then it's like, no, trust and faith. It's done. It's already done. We signed it in our soul contract. We just have amnesia when we come into the human body. We just can't remember exactly how it's going to unfold. And that's where the blind faith, the trust in the invisible, and truly trusting the universe has our back, 100%, right? So this up level is occurring, and we've learned so much through the last 6 weeks, through this entire circumstance. We're stepping more into our power. And we're so excited for this up level in this new space and spaciousness. And we're going to like have an abundance room where we like study energy and abundance and film YouTube videos and just all this stuff that is going to also benefit you. So it's really, really exciting. So that's what's going on around here. So I want to talk a bit more about signs you're ready to up level. Okay. So you're feeling a lot of intensive emotions, right? Negative emotions, fear, worry, doubt, anger, lack. And at the same time, though, you're feeling this strong pull to like work through these emotions, to own and take responsibility, right? To trust and have faith. And maybe at first you're not sure like what you're feeling or why, but that's sometimes part of this process. And it's so crazy because in October, I'm like, oh, I should start like doing a bit of Christmas shopping, and like, oh yeah, like I'll start getting everything ready for Christmas. And cause I always decorate like mid-November. And there was like this feeling inside of me that was like, something feels different about this year, but I just didn't know yet that this was why, because we're literally like, going to be shifting our living space in December. So like, hold off on all that. Universe and intuition, my higher self's like, just hold off on all that because there's something coming. You just don't see it yet. And now I'm like, oh, right. When you look back, you're like, oh, that's why everything felt that way and happened like that. Right. So that's a sign, is there may be a lot of intensive emotion that you're feeling you have to work through, and it can feel overwhelming sometimes. Trust me, I know this year has been that. Another sign is you're tired of being tired. You're tired of being sick. You're tired of fighting with your body. You are done with whatever suffering you're tolerating, whatever you're continuing to just like have happen to you, that you're like, I'm just done with this. Okay. You're sick and tired of it. You catch yourself saying it more often. You're frustrated. You're angry with the circumstances, your environment, your business, yourself, whatever it is. And so what happens with anger, and this is what happened to us the night we had the 30 hours of noise, is we got so angry. But anger is a great emotion to catapult you into action. You stop tolerating and you go, enough is enough. I'm going to take action, right? And so that's actually can be a good thing sometimes. And you have a strong desire to change your life. Something's starting to shift and you're like, I can't keep hurting myself with food anymore. I can't keep people pleasing. I can't keep tolerating this exhaustion. I can't keep not charging my rates. I can't keep thinking being woo and spiritual is a bad thing and holding it in. No, I'm done. I'm sharing all of it. It's all out on the table. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay. Sending you love. Take what's resonant and leave the rest, right? But otherwise, I'm done. I'm being myself. This is me. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. Not everyone has to like you. And getting to that point is important, right? But I'm coming from love, but I'm also coming from power, right? If you feel stuck, you feel small, you feel like you're in a rut, you feel like you've been in a limbo, you feel like things have kind of just been status quo. This is another sign that you are wanting to up level, right? And also take some time to be grateful for things that are working in your life, okay? Because there is good that is going on. It's just sometimes we're focusing too much on what we don't want. And remember, energy goes where your attention is. So the more you focus on what you don't want, the more you crave that. So try to shift your focus and start thinking about what you want. Because as soon as we stepped into that house, even though it's conditionally sold, I started thinking about what it would feel like to have that as our bathroom, to be able to put up the Christmas tree in the living room, right? All of these things, right? And then after we ended up like getting it, we drove by to see it during the day, and we have all these cute little bunnies in our yard. We call them our yard pets because we have bunnies and deer and all ducks and all kinds of stuff come by. And of course we name all the animals. So the one main bunny, his name's Howard, and he's like living under the people's deck across from us, and there's like Christmas lights and it's so cute. And so we go to the house and talk about divine intervention. There's a Howard bunny like sitting right beside our house, because I was like, I hope Howard comes with us. Obviously it'll be a different bunny, but I was like, yeah, I'm sure he will. And then boom, he's like sitting there. It's like synchronicity. As soon as we signed everything, I go in my Jeep to go do something at the bank. I can't even remember. Oh, I needed to update my debit pin. 3 songs come on. I barely have any music on my phone. The first is like, Let It Unfold, and then it's Get Home, and then it's Blind Faith. And I'm like, when we get these signs and synchronicities with song titles, angel numbers, this is your guides and angels being like, trust, surrender, we've got you, like, yeah. So it's, I'm like, okay, I'm just surrendering. Like I've had to surrender, and my control stuff has come up so much, and like letting go of that has been so important over the last few weeks. And, you know, this is where like when we're put into an uncomfortable circumstance, something unexpected that we're not fully prepared for, we can try and grip at control. Am I ready? Is this going to work? What if it doesn't? What if I fail? What if blah, 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 right? Like all of this ego stuff comes up. There's some fear, there's discomfort, right? And so what I really had to do is when I noticed myself, and this is what I want you to like tune into, is like, what does control feel like for you? That's the second journal prompt. Does your chest get tight? Do you start telling everyone what to do? Do you get upset when things don't go your way? Are you reacting more? Do you find yourself going to food more? Right? Do you feel more contracted in your body? Does your muscles feel tighter? Because what I noticed over the last few weeks is I'm like trying to have control, but then letting go of control to surrender to the circumstance because it's completely all out of my hands and the universe has us, is I'd be like surrendered, and then something would be like, oh my gosh, like, is this going to happen? And then I'd like have a breakdown essentially and like get angry or cry or like kind of be short. And I'm not that person. But it's like, what does being in control look like for you? Are you trying to have control with your body, with food? Are you losing control with binge eating? Are you trying to tell everyone what to do? Do you feel like you're in this mentality of I have to do everything myself because no one else can do it good enough? Like, what does that whole dynamic look like? And so there's been all these circumstances where the universe has lovingly pointed out over the last 6 weeks where I'm still trying to grip for control, that it's important to let go of control, or don't sweat the small stuff. Like it's all fine. I don't need to get worked up or expend any energy on this because there's nothing I can do about it. So it's been a great practice and process. And it's also been very uncomfortable and very emotional. We're human. We all have our stuff, right? And I hope that in some way you guys can relate to this in your own circumstance, because that's why I like to share my personal experiences. I go through it. I'm human too. Everyone has their stuff, and I'm beyond grateful for the experiences. I'm grateful for the circumstance. I'm grateful, even though it's been uncomfortable, because the universe always provides. And, like, I have an affirmation and open, ready to receive what I desire or better on my desk. And I really, 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 really love affirmations. And the more we feel them and say them, well, the universe is like, oh, let's give you everything you want then. Right? But we have to detach from the how, the when, and the time. So what does control look like for you? And what does allowing look like? So for me, allowing is like, okay, I really want this, and I have to let it go and intend and trust that the best outcome is going to happen. Oh, so let me breathe, let me meditate, let me tap, let me get grounded, get out into nature, write about it. But it's like envisioning it, but then letting go and allowing it to happen, right? It's like a colleague says this to me all the time. She's like, when you go to a restaurant and you put your order in, you don't go to the back and like ask the chef if he got your order and if it's going to be cooked. You don't go back and do it yourself. You sit there because you 100% are certain that they're going to make your food and bring it out to you, right? So it's like the same with this. It's like we place the order. The universe heard us like, oh, you guys want to move? Okay, no problem. Here you go. Here it is. Now I just have to wait for the order to be prepared. Which is the hardest part, but that's the enjoying the journey, embracing the journey, the in between, the completion of the things, right? So it's like breath, leaning back, surrendering, trusting, which is so freaking hard when you want to have control and you want to know everything's just going to go the way that you want it to. However, we've got to learn how to let go more. We really do. And, that is a sign though that you're trying to up level, or you're ready to up levels. Like, there's big opportunities, possibilities, getting out of your comfort zone, making change. And you're like, oh, I really want this. I want the change, but now I'm trying to have control because my fear is taking over, right? Another sign that you are wanting to up level is that you're seeing coincidences and opportunities everywhere. So like I just talked about, the songs on the radio, the angel numbers, the bunny, Howard the bunny being in the yard, right? Like synchronicity. Okay. Another sign you're ready to up level. You're less tolerant. So like I'm telling you this whole circumstance, like, because that's how up levels work sometimes. It's like when I started my business, I literally jumped off the cliff. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know this is what I need to do. I'm going to trust that drive and desire inside of me, and the rest will unfold. Legit. Okay. So you stop tolerating the way people treat you poorly. You stop tolerating certain circumstances, certain behaviors. Okay. And sometimes it can feel a bit lonely, or sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I need to like look everywhere outside of me for the answers rather than go within and maybe get a little quiet and get the signs from the universe, right? Because that's when you get the answers and the guidance. Maybe you're doing things that don't make sense, right? But another big sign that you're ready to up level is you start seeking out help to achieve your goals, to heal, to gain food and body freedom, to do whatever it is that you're desiring to do, right? You find I can tell you there's been so many times where I'll have someone book a consultation or sign up to work together, and they'll be like, I listened to this podcast that you were on, and it was like just the timing, or I saw this post, or I like Googled emotional eating and you came up, and I clicked on your bio and like this came up, and boom. And it's just like, holy crap, like the synchronicity. They're like, it was just meant to be, right? And here's a good quote from Buddha: when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Okay. And if you're listening to this and you're getting chills, you're feeling activated, you're feeling inspired, you're nodding, you're like, yes, I'm telling you, you're starting the process of up level, or you're in an up level. And now you're like, oh, this is good reassurance for me. So what does your up level look like? What does your up level look like? That's the third journal prompt and the third point from today. So what does your up level look like? So for us, it's like, well, we're done tolerating. So we're moving into a space that's going to host the quality of life we want, and we're not going to have the disruption. Right. And then we're going to sleep better. Our nervous systems are going to regulate. Our frequencies are going to go up. I'm going to have a freaking amazing 2024, because our quality of life is going to be significantly improved because of the circumstance. Right. And I can show up more in my business the way that I want to, because I'm not going to be like, well, wow, I got like 3 hours of sleep last night. Like, what's the balance? Right. And obviously I show up for my clients. Nothing there has changed. but it's just like, it needs to be in alignment, right? So what does your up level look like? For me, it looks like regulation of my nervous system, rest, creating for my business, helping you guys out, being of service. I'm going to be showing up more. I'm going to be sharing more, deeper trust, deeper faith, right? Alignment, authenticity, all of it. So does your up level look like you're finally going to book that consultation with me? You're finally going to send the email that's in your drafts that you've meant to send to me 10 times, but then your ego talks you out of it, right? Does it look like, finally getting out of that unhealthy relationship? Maybe it's time for you to move. Maybe it's time for you to leave that job where they treat you like crap and they just take you for granted and it's impacting your health and well-being. I have had like 4 clients this year who left jobs where the hours were inhumane and it was having a significant negative impact on their health. And now they're stepping into their power. One's traveling the world. One is creating a beautiful business, right? One has found a job similar, but the culture and the environment and the way she's treated is aligned. You are the designer of your life. You call the shots. If something isn't working, stop tolerating it. Why are you still tolerating it? What does your up level look like? For you, your up level is you want to navigate the holidays with more ease and grace, and you want more food freedom. You want to come into 2024 more energized with more clarity, right? You're like, I'm not dieting in 2024. I need to figure out what I'm doing instead that's actually going to help me get where I want to go. What does that look like? I want you to really think about that. What's your up level? Share in the comments below. If you're watching on YouTube, email me or DM me on Instagram if you want to share what's coming up for you. So I want to celebrate all that this space has given to Phil and I. I'm going to acknowledge some key things that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. And, to complete being in this house, we're going to walk through the house together and we're going to talk about all the good things that have happened here. And it makes me emotional because, it's like you create an emotional attachment to the space. And now that's been like, that cord is being just like dissolved because obviously we're moving and we're really excited about where we're going. But it holds a lot of sentimental value because so much good happened here. And obviously you can feel that in my voice. Like Phil welcomed me into this home and he let me make it a home with him, which I'm so grateful for. And these are happy tears, of course, just gratitude. He asked me to be his girlfriend in this house and then apologized to me for hurting me all the years ago. And he's like, I'll never do that to you again. Like, I'll never forget that moment. The first time he told me he loved me. And he asked me to be his girlfriend on his birthday, January 2nd. So we share, the celebration of his birth and our anniversary. And that's 8 years soon. Right? Like I had the opportunity because this room I'm in was a spare room and Phil's like, well, why bother pay $2,000 a month rent? Like, why don't you run your business out of the house? And I'm like, that would be amazing. And then I took everything online back in like 2016, which was a blessing. And I love it. And I've gotten to support so many incredible souls in this room, in this, space to heal. And that's just a blessing that's only going to continue in the new space. Obviously, this is just like, we're just moving space. Like all these things are continuing, like starting this podcast in this house. I remember that. And I remember Phil and I just started hanging out when the podcast started and I was like, maybe he'll become my boyfriend. And like, here we are 8 years later. I say hubby because we're literally like married without the certificate. We do want to get married at some point, but that will happen when it's meant to. We have hosted so many amazing family members in this house and memories and like meals and, just like celebrations. Like Phil literally was working full-time as a Red Seal welder and he started his business part-time fabricating specific kinds of custom-made car parts for his car, his Mustang Cobra. And he literally started with one part. It's like 7 years ago. And developed a second product and then a third. And then just over 3 years ago, quit his full-time job to take his business full-time and was doing it, here for, until May when he moved into a shop. Like he birthed a business that has continued to grow and expand. I'm so proud of him and us and what we've co-created in this house, all the laughter and all the tears, because I healed fear of abandonment issues in this house and attachment issues, and really learned a lot more about my ego, right? I've worked through a lot of stuff around lack and fear and guilt, right? There's been so much good that this house has supported us through. And I'm leaving with a full heart and a gratitude. And at the same time, also feeling complete. Like our time here is complete, and so excited to create all the new memories in the new space and to have it be more in alignment with who we are physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. And I'm excited to share, more content and great things with all of you as we shift into this new space. There's so much good, and it's time for the up level. We're up leveling, and this is part of what's bridging us to that next up level. So thank you for listening to me get emotional. I'm beyond grateful you're all here with me. And I'm so excited to celebrate this up level with you all, and to celebrate all of you for your up levels and what you decide to do. And if you decide it's not the right time to up level, that's okay. I'm celebrating you because you know better than anyone else. What I want you to just consider is to not let your ego make the decision, and that you, out of fear, don't do anything and stay stuck. And then you keep suffering and tolerating. So if you know your ego is really good at talking you out of taking the action steps or taking the next life-changing step to food and body freedom, to learning how to manage your ego, to learning how to build your worth and take your power back, to healing your relationship with food, to finally overcoming the binge or emotional eating, to finally addressing the gut and root issues to your gut and hormone issues, to finally ending the body battle and the weight battle and really learning how to love and accept yourself and also have your body feel safe enough to release the weight, then reach out, acknowledge that your ego is giving you trouble. It's always good to acknowledge, hey, Amber, I really want the support, and this is what my ego is saying, and this is what I'm feeling, and this is what kind of keeps me being hung up. Let's talk about it, because I can guide you through that and help you get into your heart to make a more aligned decision, whether it is time or not. But we don't want to make these decisions from our head and from a reactionary space of fear, because we'll often shut down and stay stuck, and we don't want that. So what is your up level? What is your block? Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation together. If you feel called, I'm totally here. Like, what are you waiting for? The time is now, right? And there's so many things that you could step into depending on what you feel you desire. So having a conversation, and then I can help give you specific recommendations of what may be the best next steps for you, will be really, really helpful. I have women that DM me all the time on Instagram or email me and ask like, hey, what do you think the best thing would be for me right now, based on like these things I'm struggling with, or this is my budget. Like, I can help you figure out something that can work for you and for us. Okay. So the show notes for today's episode can be found at amberproof.ca/podcast/452. You can go to amberproof.ca if you're wondering if you're struggling with emotional eating and take the free emotional eating quiz. You can also book your 30-minute body freedom consultation there. It's $50 USD. You fill out an intake form, you book your time, and then if you do sign up for a program, you get your payment back. It's honestly really to have you make sure you commit and show up. Because I had for a while where there was no fee, and I had a lot of people who are not respecting my time. And so loving boundaries are important. And I know for those of you that are wanting to reach out, that that's no issue for you, right? So you can book a body freedom consultation. It will help give you clarity. It will light the fire under your butt. You'll feel like inspired and excited. You'll feel hopeful. And the rest of this year, next year, gets to be the time where you finally do the healing that you know you want to do. You can also go to amberproof.ca, learn more about body freedom. And there's a lot of other great things on the website as well. So enjoy. And I'm excited to connect with those of you that know that this is your time. It's your time. If you needed a sign, this podcast is your sign. And as I always say, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health. So take action now. I'm sending you so much love. Put out all the good vibes, that we have everything go smoothly for us. And I'm intending the same for all of you and your circumstances. Ooh, 555 on the recording. That's great. And the next time you hear me, I'll be recording in my new office space. And I'm so excited to share it all with you and to celebrate with you I hope you're having a beautiful day. Have a great week, and we'll see all of you beautiful souls for an entire new episode next Sunday. Take care.